Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, when I spoke at the opening of the conference, I acknowledged the enormous help we've had from the government of Spain, and in particular, our co-host, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for the Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenge, Teresa Ribera. And she has been enormously supportive. We've developed a very good working relationship over Zoom, and we were both so pleased to see each other in sort of 3 dimensions in real life, IRL. It's actually absolutely a great step forward. The Deputy Prime Minister is a global climate champion. As the Director of the Institute for Sustainable Development and International Relations, your successor, by the way, performed admirably in the previous panel, but acknowledged he was filling shoes for which he was, a little bit ambitious, I think. She was director of that institute from 2014 to 2018. She contributed to the negotiation of the Paris Climate Agreement, which I recall I signed on behalf of Australia, and the transition towards sustainable development. Under her leadership, since 2018, the Ministry of Ecological Transition and the Demographic Challenge has driven truly ambitious green hydrogen policies, demonstrating serious leadership and commitment to fighting climate change. In Australia, we like to say that we could be or should be a clean energy superpower. And there's no doubt we've got all the pieces to put it together. But Spain is actually getting there. Its share of its renewable energy, hydro, wind, solar, and now hydrogen, green hydrogen, is growing all the time. And it's in no small part due to the Deputy Prime Minister's leadership. It's therefore with great pleasure that I invite the Deputy Prime Minister, our co-host, to make her opening speech for this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your very kind words. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, authorities, ministers, developers, friends of green hydrogen. This is the way I think we need to start feeling ourselves and among ourselves, friends of green hydrogen. Having a great idea, identifying how to build a clean energy world is good. But walking the path deserves and needs a little bit more, and doing it with friends is the best recipe for success. So I'm very happy to be here in Barcelona. I welcome you all in Barcelona, and I know you have already been working for a long while, and I'm sure that this is the big kickoff for the time to be. The things have changed dramatically in very short period of time, and we need to take advantage of the situation, because what we knew we needed is now a reality, and needs to be highlighted, but also to be accelerated in the time to come. Probably the prosperity in the 20th century will be driven by green energies, renewable energy, by how wise we are when using energy, by innovative technologies that can respond to the challenges that we've got in the environmental arena, but not only, also from the perspective of being efficient when producing goods, being healthy when breathing the air we breathe, and when paying attention on how we can take advantage of the resources we have around us. And hydrogen is playing already a key role in this energy transition worldwide. And the most interesting thing is that it is being played a little bit everywhere. So it is not something that belongs to someone in particular. It is an adventure that we are building, shaping right now. And as I said, in the very last 6 months, the economics of hydrogen have dramatically changed. So we have an additional opportunity to do what we knew we had to do. Even with a great development of renewable energies, not all the sectors of processes or activities are easily electrifiable. Even with the capacity to develop green renewable energy, we do not respond to the need to store. So for the final end users, for the capacity to store and ensure a secured system in our countries, we can count, we do need to count on hydrogen. And it matters how we produce hydrogen, and it matters how we push the different solutions around hydrogen in the time to come. Nor should we forget that there is an important industry that uses non-renewable hydrogen as a raw material. So we have the technology, the experience, the learnings that we need to boost renewable hydrogen production in the very short term. At this time, we must face major challenges, and this assembly has been quite smart by identifying what concrete things can be the blood of this friendship, how we can build together, how we can get more visibility, how we can share with the rest of the world what we need to do. I think that this is also very important. Of course, there are challenges, but when we all stand behind those challenges and try to respond in a common manner, in a coordinated way, challenges become easier to be responded, to be overcome, to be in front of possible solutions. I like the idea of identifying concrete targets, the 100 by 2030 campaign, a global call for at least 100 million tons of green hydrogen per year to be produced by 2030. I like and I recognize that it is very much needed to identify green hydrogen standard, to be sure that when we talk about green hydrogen, we are talking about the same thing all over the world. So standards and certificates are defined what true clean green hydrogen is, setting clear limits on emissions, almost at zero levels, and sustainability for green hydrogen projects through a certificate, so that any investor, any final user can be sure what he or she is using and talking about. There is, of course, a need to boost good practices when talking about contracts. So I think that a set of good contracting principles to guide and support governments, developers, and communities implementing green hydrogen projects is also a very good idea. And why not? When talking about action, climate action in the climate scene, it could be very important to come up to Sharm el-Sheikh with some concrete recommendations to be presented to the rest of the climate community, because we need it. Last week, we had a ministerial meeting in Copenhagen, so to prepare what's next in Egypt. And I have to say that even with the best willingness coming from all governments, the mood is what else, how we can improve, how we can be sure that the whole business community, that the whole public opinion is dealing with this issue in the middle of this, stress in a positive manner. So positive news, constructive solutions are also needed for this year. And in these great global challenges to develop hydrogen, we have great initiatives and alliances. And this is what we need to share with the world. I think that we need to position ourselves to lead renewable energy, and we need to position ourselves building something that provides unity, common action. None of us is alone, but we are not yet sufficiently together. So we need to build this alliance. We need to build an ambitious partnership to set the scene, to build around the green hydrogen a real driver for climate action, for energy transition, for prosperity, for a healthy combination of the global supply chains with the use of local and nearby solutions. And I think that this is a positive story that everybody can share. But you are the pioneers. We are among the pioneers around this adventure. We have to remember that according to the IRENA report, there are many countries in the world that are doing things around hydrogen. There are many different corporates that are developing their hydrogen plants. But still, with this beauty of being together in different corners, we are not still perceived being around a common goal. We are not still working sufficiently together to learn together and to accelerate the learning process. This is a very complex energy context, and the response is clear. Climate security, energy security goes along these very same lines. And this is something that it is in the middle of the European politics, including the big geopolitical responses. Tomorrow, the European Union Commission will present its Repower EU initiative. And of course, we know that the response needs to include low carbon solutions being accessible, the quick deployment of the existing technologies, efficiency and energy savings, new solutions towards sound local models, and among them, how we can progressively eliminate our dependence on fossil fuels, and how we can anticipate and build new solutions that will be coming, but need to come before what we expected. 50 million tons of renewable hydrogen, in addition to the 5.6 million tons foreseen in the Fit for 55 package, can be a reality. And for that, we have a very strong incentive. Between 25 and 50 million cubic meters of imported Russian gas per year by 2030 could be out of the scene, and instead we could be building an hydrogen market. Repower EU includes a specific plan to accelerate hydrogen development to produce 10 million tons of green hydrogen in Europe and import an additional 10 million tons from other countries. Renewable energies represent a radical geopolitical change, and we know that we will be facing new discussions, new barriers. We can anticipate some of them, and we need to avoid them. We need to respond before they become a real problem. An energy revolution with profound economic implications and reduced energy and trade dependencies is healthy, is sane, but there may be some additional difficulties. How to build this healthy balance between interdependence and local capacities, how to focus and anticipate the response to new bottlenecks, such as those linked to the raw materials or new materials, how to build innovation and technological responses, how to regulate and facilitate the business case, how to combine a new green renewable energy system with the storage and security of supply. I think that in this race, hydrogen is at the forefront. It is a very needed response. It is a very important solution, part of the solution. We have identified different fields of action in the case of Spain. We know that we have to work on how to ensure that we are attractive for investments, that we count on a proper regulatory framework with standards, with understanding on how to build a horizon perspective, how to develop good basis, good principles for these contractual arrangements between private players, how we can build a new market, how we can ensure that the research and development technologies count on sufficient funding to keep on working on new solutions and evolutions of the existing ones, how we need to address the infrastructure network in a different way, so to ensure that we can count on transportation of hydrogen, how we can cooperate with other countries, with other partners. The hydrogen is an essential element to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, and we envisage in the first phase, 2020-2024, the installation of at least 6 gigawatts of electrolyzers in the EU and the production of up to 1 million tons of renewable hydrogen. Setting a strategic goal of installing at least 40 gigawatts of electrolyzers by 2030 and producing up to 10 million tons of renewable hydrogen in the European Union. And to achieve these targets, we can contribute significantly from our country. We have the conviction that we have a role to play as a country with very good conditions to develop renewable hydrogen for self-supply, but also to export renewable hydrogen to other countries. Spain's industry is willing and is ready to participate in the European major projects of common interest for renewable hydrogen. Big companies, but also small and medium enterprise, as it is the case for the research community that has been pioneering the leadership in this research and development. In Spain, we want to achieve 74% of renewable electricity generation and 42% renewable energy end use by 2030 and full decarbonization by 2050 at the latest. In Spain, we are committed to 100 renewable hydrogen in our energy transition, and this is reflected in our own hydrogen roadmap. Some objectives have already been stated. For instance, developing the hydrogen economy value chain and positioning Spain as a benchmark. It's not only an issue of changing the colors of electrons or molecules. It is also a very interesting and important industrial opportunity. Making Spain a leader in the production of renewable energy generation, and this also helps to produce green hydrogen. Favoring the decarbonization of isolated energy systems, the small ones as our islands, but pitifully and luckily still with a great need in the Iberian Peninsula to count a much more sound system with capacity to store and with capacity to produce and use hydrogen to do so. Strengthening research and development as an economic pillar, setting specific national targets. In our case, we want to install 4 gigawatts of electrolyzers and mobilize 8.9 billion of public and private investment over the next decade to develop hydrogen and its associated value chain, with which we expect to reduce 4.6 million tons of CO2 equivalent. We think that we have a great opportunity to do so, and we have the capacity to do so. And this explains why this is a very relevant piece in our recovery plan. Renewable energy, hydrogen, and storage is a crucial piece of our recovery plan. More than 6.9 billion of public funds are dedicated to these goals, to mobilize 18 billion and create, in our estimates, more than 250,000 direct and indirect jobs. The program allocates 1.5 billion euros to hydrogen, which in turn will mobilize more than 2.8 billion of private capital. The renewable hydrogen project is a country project. It's not just, as I said, producing a driver, but it is also the whole industrial value chain and the services associated to this process. It is not an easy task, but we know that we count on the knowledge, the business capabilities. It is essential to position the national business sector around this goal, and our impression, our conviction is that this is already the case. To this end, we have already launched some calls for proposals worth 400 million euros. The call has now closed for pioneering and unique renewable hydrogen projects with a budget of 250 million euros, but remain open until 7th of June for the calls related to the innovative renewable hydrogen value chain with 150 million euros. To create this favorable environment for hydrogen development, the necessary regulatory measures are also being adopted. We are already working on that, and we need to count, to discuss, to debate, and to learn with the industry, with the developers, with the researchers, and with the investors, so that the development of a system to guarantee the origin of renewable gases, the security in the transportation, the business case, are real facts in the time to come, so to boost investment in renewable hydrogen. All of this will strengthen strategic and technological autonomy. But all of this would also be our contribution, our share to this very important unity, friendship that we need to build together. So thanks to you all, members of this fantastic assembly, for this great idea that we need to push, that we need to take care of, and that we need to be sure that can grow up in a very healthy context full of promises and full of realities. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister. We now have a video message of welcome from the President of the Government of Catalonia, Pere Arajones. The Deputy PM is going to tell me what's being said. I don't need the earphones currently.
Molt bon dia a tots i a totes. En primer lloc, voldria excusar la meva absència per motius d'agenda a la Green Hydrogen Global Assembly and Exhibition, una trobada importantíssima. Per això no he volgut desaprofitar l'oportunitat de traslladar-vos unes paraules d'agraïment per celebrar aquesta trobada a Barcelona, per celebrar aquest congrés a Catalunya. I especialment compartir amb vosaltres l'aposta estratègica que Catalunya està fent per l'hidrogen verd com l'energia del futur de la Unió Europea. As I was saying in Catalan, I would not want to miss the opportunity to welcome you to Catalonia and to excuse my absence due to a prior commitment for the Green Hydrogen Global Assembly and Exhibition, an extremely important meeting. This is why I didn't want to miss this opportunity to convey a few words of gratitude to you for celebrating this meeting in Barcelona, for celebrating this convention in Catalonia, and especially to share with you the strategic commitment that Catalonia is making in green hydrogen, the energy of the future of the European Union. The Catalan government is using the economic reactivation we began after the COVID crisis to promote a set of transformations aimed at offering a better future to our citizens, a fairer, greener, more sustainable future, more feminist, and more democratic. As part of these transformations, our commitment to the energy transition is urgent. We must do it explicitly as part of our commitment to the future of the planet, as part of our commitment against climate change and in favor of the preservation of our biodiversity. But we must also do it to gain competitiveness. In this area, as a government, we are making a clear commitment to wind and solar energy, because it is the one we have at our fingertips. It is also the more democratic and therefore the fairest. And above all, because this is the cleanest and most environmentally friendly. Our goal is to install an additional 12,000 megawatts in renewables before 2030 and almost 62,000 megawatts before 2050. Through this, we want to contribute to the decarbonization of our electricity system. This is our commitment, to work tirelessly to contribute to the decarbonization of our country, of Europe. The European Union predicts that by 2050, 25% of energy will be based on green hydrogen. Catalonia is ready to become an important actor in this process of energy transition. We are ready to become one of the main European producers and distributors of green hydrogen. We are investing strongly in this commitment. Green hydrogen is a true countrywide project because it allows the decarbonization of our industry and mobility, because it brings us ever closer to climate neutrality, more necessary than ever if we want to guarantee a healthy future for everyone, and reduces our dependence that we still have on other kinds of energy like gas exports. For this reason, I want you to discover Catalonia's Hydrogen Valley project, an investment to upgrade the energy and petrochemical industries in the Tarragona area, thanks in part to the European Next Generation funds. It will help position ourselves as the benchmark in Europe for the generation, storage, distribution, and use of hydrogen. Let me end this brief message by thanking all the actors who are working in making this project a reality. The different companies, research centers, universities, and public institutions that have been involved in shaping a transformative project that is key for our economy and for the energy transition of Europe as a whole. Thank you. I hope that the Green Hydrogen Global Assembly and Exhibition is a great success, and above all, I wish you have a pleasant stay in Catalonia.